Alright guys, what is up? Welcome back to Empyrean Galactic Survival with Lone Debater 7, and we're picking up pretty much where we left off. I mined a single copper rock just so I could get a little bit of ore. Doesn't really matter, but the next mission in our little PDA is to go to a signal source. So if you push the M, it will show you your planetary map. So right now we don't have anything discovered. We just have this little area kind of around our escape pod where we landed, and we're supposed to go to this opportunity. Now, most likely that's going to be some sort of base. You can see on the little mini-map in the upper right-hand corner, it does show as like a yellow circle. So if we look for that, we can kind of find it. It also will put this little overlay in the in-world so you can see where you're going. So 800 meters away, roughly. That's not too far, but we do still need to get over there. So that's a spider's nest. When we need to get meat or things like that, those are useful to go and attack. Ooh, some baddies. And I don't know if you noticed that we did hit level 3. That's done by exploring, so we've discovered that spider's nest and unlocked a little bit more of the map, right? So as a result of that, we did get a level, which is pretty awesome, right? So we're just going to take these baddies out on the way, because these little insects are pretty easy to take down, even with just the basic tool. You can build like actual guns, so like there's a pistol, machine gun, stuff like that, and it gets pretty advanced towards the late game, and they do more damage obviously, but for these little guys you don't necessarily need that. You can take them out with the tool you're given. So, oh cool, we actually found an ore deposit. So I'm going to show you, this is kind of on the way, so we're going to head over to this copper deposit first, just so you can kind of see what they look like. And it's not just copper that spawns in an ore deposit. Pretty much any ore, so iron, silicon, promethium, whatever it may be, you can find them in these ore deposits. Now, mining the rocks are great, but you only get like 5 ore at a time, and it takes 2 ore per each ingot for the basic materials, and sometimes it takes even more than that for the advanced materials, right? So you want to find these these deposits, and they're spread throughout the world. Once you have some vehicles, it's a little bit easier to get around quickly. But since we're on foot, you just kind of walk over. So this is a brown rock. It's got copper, so we got some copper ore just from that. And we're going to head over here, and I'll show you kind of the secondary tool that you can use to mine out these ore deposits, because if you dig a hole and you can't jump out of it, like, you're kind of SOL. There's no easy way to get out. I mean, there's a jetpack and stuff, but if you don't have enough fuel for that, you're not going to be able to leave, right? You're going to be trapped. So there's actually a little gremlin thing, I think is what it's called, or drone. I don't know what they call it, I forget. But basically it shoots out and you can pilot it, so it looks like it's bound to F5. So if you hit F5, you kind of hit this little drone, and it flies around so you can see yourself. Pretty cool, right? Well, what's even cooler is it will use your tool. So I can seriously just go in, hold down left mouse, and fly straight into a pit and mine all the ore that I want. So the other benefit of doing it this way is it auto collects the copper ore or whatever ore for you. If you were doing this by hand, you would actually have to pick up the little blobs of ore, which kind of sucks when you're mining hundreds and hundreds of ore, because you have to push F to pick things up, right? So this kind of bypasses it. You don't have to worry about getting trapped. You can just send this little drone into the ore deposit and mine to your heart's content. So we're just going to grab a little bit here, might as well, right? Another thing to mention, if you look at that deposit reticle, it says 80% ore left, right? So as you mine it, that will decrease. So this tells you if maybe some ore is like missing or something like that. There might be more hidden behind rock. So it kind of helps gauge, you know, how productive it is to be mining at a certain spot, right? So okay, that's probably about enough. As you can see, the ores are a different color than the stone around them, so you can tell visually as well. I just find that sometimes that reticle is useful when you're trying to mine from afar, right? So There we go. Got that done, and all you have to do is hit F5, you're back in action, and as you can see, we've got our 138 copper ore right in our bag. So let's go to this opportunity, keep playing the tutorial, I suppose. Oops, spider, shit. Those guys are a little bit meaner because they're faster, and they can poison you. So you want to be careful of the spiders, like, definitely take them out. I mean, the benefit of this tool is it doesn't have like an overheat or something. Don't run away. Just die. There we go. Okay, we took him out. Loot him, meat, cool. And we're just gonna leave our defense mode on, I think, as we traverse the terrain. Just because. So, as you can see, we've found a copper, an iron, and a silicon deposit. They're all small, which isn't necessarily bad. I mean, for starting out, you don't necessarily need a whole lot of ore, but we will want to find some large deposits as we kind of progress, because we're going to need a lot of resources. So, we are nearing this source. Cool. We got some mushrooms, also cool. And so, as you can see, it's kind of like a wreckage. So, crash ship, broken down base, whatever you want to call it. Pretty awesome. So, a little trick. Obviously, we have the salvage mode, and that's how you collect these items. Well, these bases are a great way to get steel without spending a lot of iron. So, if you go into salvage mode and you start shooting, so if you look in the lower right, there's a little hit point gauge. So as you hit these targets, they will slowly break down, and when you destroy it, you get a little bit of steel. Well, if you mine out the entire bottom layer, the layers that it was supporting will crash to the ground and be harvestable in one giant swoop. So the way to collect a lot of steel quickly is you basically mine out the bottom level of these structures, let the whole thing crash down, kind of like that. And then you can just push F and gather a bunch all at once without having to mine every single square. It's more significant underneath larger areas because literally you can mine out like an entire level for a whole base, and then the entire rest of the base will fall, and you'll get like 1,000 steel or something ridiculous from one drop. So just something to keep in mind, little pro tip, I guess. If you're struggling to get steel, this is a great way to do it. So I'm just going to mine out a little bit. I don't think I'm going to do the whole thing. I mean, steel's useful because it's used to build most of the base stuff, but as long as we have like maybe 50 or 100, it should be enough to get started anyway. So we're just going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll keep moving on. So it's going to say loot items from personal cargo box. That's why they send you over here. There's some goodies in a box somewhere here. We'll go over there in a minute. Normally there's some enemies guarding it, so I just want to kind of mine this stuff first, then we'll switch to defense mode before we go scavenging. But kind of giving you the breadth of what you can do with your survival tool. The other things, the reason why those ore deposits were showing up, if you look at my second item, the ore scanner, you want to have that on your hotbar because that's what locates and identifies the ore on the map. So if you don't have that on your hotbar, you may not actually detect the ore deposits even if you walk right over it. So definitely something to keep in mind. You want to have your ore scanner on you in your hotbar, otherwise you may be missing opportunities. So we're gonna just climb in here. Not sure where the cargo box is. Automatic door, fun. So you can see there's some stuff. So we get a base starter, some ores, some water, and we get some plants so we can start farming right away. All of those things are pretty awesome. What I will say, whoops, salvage, here we go. I like to kind of salvage out the components because if it's something other than just like a tile on the ground, they will give you better drops. So sometimes you get exotic items, but we're going to leave off. When we come back, I will have salvaged out a little bit more of this base, but until then, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see ya.